Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Coby Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source, the latest in news.
Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
And welcome to The Source. Coby, this week has been a very, very dead week. I mean, what is happening in Washington that nothing big is happening? I'm trying to find something that we could talk about that would bring some excitement to the show, and I couldn't find anything.
It's not a lot. It's been a very interesting week, to say the least, but not one with a lot of fireworks. Yeah,
well, we're going to do the best we can. But there is one item I do want to talk about today, and that's the passing of the late, great, in my opinion, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was a friend. I knew him personally, and he's a fraternity brother, and we honored him just a few years ago in 2019 during our centennial. We talked about the famous preachers of Omega. And at one point, it seemed like people weren't trying to give him the depth that he really deserved. Because sometimes I learned this, and I don't understand why, but people would rather celebrate a dead hero than a living one. And that bothers me. You wait until people die to show how great they are. But I saw him as a true giant. I was a part of. I don't even know if you were still. What year were you born in, Coby?
95.
Yeah, you weren't even born yet when we did his campaign.
I was born 31 years ago today.
Oh, wow. Today. Excellent. Happy birthday. There's excitement. That's the one with it.
Gotta keep it low key.
But I tell you, I was a part of the group from Lincoln that went when he ran for president. Staying on those hard floors in North Carolina, trying to get him to get him elected. But you work in the struggle, and some of us who I kind of like left the struggle. I do things on a local level, but nothing to the level that you and others do. And I just really want to get your take on your of him with you, as well as what's happening at this point.
Yeah. So if you look at the impact that Reverend Jackson had, not only on this country but on movement building, on the civil rights movement, it's techniques and strategies that were still used today. In 2021, I had the opportunity to actually take part in a nonviolent civil disobedience action, in which resulted in both Reverend Jackson and myself being detained by the DC police. So while we sat in the I Street holding facility, I got to talk to him, and you could tell that, his health was starting to get bad back then. And it seemed he just kept going downhill. But it's a moment that I will always cherish, the opportunity to talk to someone who was the protege of Dr. King, someone who, outside of the civil rights movement, if we talk about the Democratic Party in 1984 and 1988, he changed the face of the Democratic Party. He changed how internally the Democratic Party operates. He's someone who did not agree with everything that they was doing and built a coalition and helped change it from the inside. And some of his reforms are still in place today, creating opportunities for people like me to rise in the DNC. An area that, if you was not a white man back in 1983 or 87, you was not really getting a fair shot. The diversity quotas that has to be met, we have to have a diverse delegation to be able to select our nominee. It laid the groundwork for the ability for Barack Obama to be able to win enough delegates to become the first black president, right? To become the first black candidate, major party candidate, and then become the first black president. And that video of Reverend Jackson, who didn't support Barack originally, the tears running down his eyes when he realized this black man just did something that so many of us have been dreaming of.
But and you're doing a very good job with sharing. But I want some things you have said. I want to just jump in and share with the audience who's watching us. People thought that Jesse Jackson and Barack Obama had a very, very tight relationship because they both from Chicago and they knew each other before time. But, with all respect to President Obama, who I respect dearly and always have supported, his people around him did some things that was not so kosher with Jackson. They did not want Jackson near that campaign. The same way they did not want Barack's pastor near that campaign, because anything that was controversial they felt would deter a black person from getting into the office. So when people hear you say they didn't have a good relationship, they kept it pretty clean. And they had one before he ran. Yes. But during that time, even I read one of the books, I forgot the name of the book I was reading, where it shared how there was some turbulent times where he was hurt. Yeah. He was hurt.
But his strategies that he used in his campaigns in the 80s, he actually won Delaware. Yeah. He won Delaware in 1988 with Joe Biden. Who was running from Delaware. So again, he was able to build coalitions, expand voter engagement and participation, and techniques that the Obama campaign pulled from. Yeah, they modernized them. Yeah. But it was originally the blueprint came from the Jackson campaign. Again, he was very clear on what he fought for. Yeah, equitable education. Yeah, jobs, and jobs that pay good. Yeah. And investing back into our communities. He created the PUSH organization, the Operation PUSH, which then became Rainbow PUSH Coalition. But that stands for People United to Save Humanity, right? Okay. That's what PUSH stands for. And that's the mission he was on. And the work and the people who I know personally who has come out of that organizing, right? You look at Tamika Mallory, who has been a leader not only in the Black Lives Matter movement, but after the George Floyd protests broke out, during the Women's March, standing up against Trump, been attacked by Trump numerous times. These are the people that Reverend Jackson has been a mentor to and has helped make sure that this movement continues on. So while he physically may not be here no more, his teachings, his work, his mentors, his mentees will cherish his mentorship, but will continue his legacy on. Yeah. And then, as you know, he has 6 kids. Yeah. And one of them is a former congressman who's running for a seat right now. And then Jonathan, the other one, Jesse Jackson Jr. and Jesse Jackson, or Jonathan, right? Jackson, who's a current congressman now. So they will continue on his advocacy, his civil rights work, his legislative work that he has been working on for so long.
Yeah, I think that we don't pay attention to the magnitude of how he changed the Democratic Party, because you were right. In the early 80s, up until the late 80s, when he got in and started making some moves and making some demands, if you were not white male, you didn't get anywhere in there. And we say it was his sacrifices that caused Barack Obama to even get a chance, as well as Kamala Harris. Yes. So we owe a great debt of gratitude to Dr. Jackson and to his family. And I just pray that God will continue to give us leaders who have a heart for the people. Yes. You gave several definitions or acronyms for his movements, but it was one speech. He gave so many speeches that I enjoyed. I mean, people always jump into this one, that one, or the other one, but it was one, I am somebody. Yes. I'm still quoting that because at the end of the day, we have to recognize that he didn't care whether you were white, black, pink, yellow, green, poor, rich, on welfare, off welfare. Matter of fact, one of the parents was here during our Black History Month program that we had for our young people here at the Academy. And that's what she told everybody. Repeat after me. And she did it with such vibrant and strength. And she said, and she went through the whole section. Maybe even on welfare. Some of them started, well, I ain't going to say that. But you know what? The reality of it is, whether you're on welfare or not, you're still somebody. And you should be respected as such. And I think that's what's really missing in our politics today and some of our leaders today. Who do you think, he lived a long time after Dr. King, but who do you think is rising now to try to help us with that older style? I know we got people who are far right, left, but do you have any ideas of some people that may be really carrying the mantle of saying, you know what, it's not really about me, it's about the people?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it nowadays, you kind of have to break it up into the community activists and the faith leader. And it's sad that it's almost divided like that. You have younger pastors who are coming up, like Pastor Stephen A. Green, who's an AME pastor from originally from South Carolina up in New York, who's doing a lot of work. Like I mentioned earlier, you have the Tamika Mallories of the world as well too. But I think right now it is so, and Pastor Jamal Bryant, who I think has found his lane with talking about the economic impact that we as a community can have. But I honestly think we are at a point where the movement is decentralized.
Wow.
Which is the opposite of in the 60s and 70s and 80s, where we had those singular figures. Now, people have their phones right at their fingertip, and they can now speak out. They can record. They can make a statement. You are seeing higher civic engagement by younger African Americans. And I'm not talking about my generation. I'm talking about they're kids. They're 12 to 16 who are truly making their voices heard in this. And if you look at it, that's what the movement was. John Lewis was not a grown man. Dr. King was 39 when he was killed, but the history part, he was in his late 20s. The later part of his life, he wasn't getting the same media attention. He was one of the most hated people in America.
Oh yeah.
Why? Because the media is one of the most powerful tools. When they love you, they love you, and when they hate you, they hate you.
Absolutely.
So again, we don't have those single figures. I think even when you look at the U.S. government, right? Yes, we have President Barack Obama, and I absolutely love him and love Vice President Harris, but they're not the single figures that we would have had from our elected officials back in the day. And they are still doing work. They're still pushing for things. You have organizers like Stacey Abrams, who has given up being in elected office to do more of the back end work. You have people like Eric Holder, who understands that all this is good. You can talk about all this, but you need litigation.
Absolutely.
And with that litigation, it all starts with understanding the process of, okay, they're strategically cutting and diluting our votes all throughout America. So he has taken on the redistricting fight. So I think everyone has their own little lane.
Yes, and which is good.
And there's no real, you still have the NAACP and the Urban League and all those civil rights organizations who still meet, but their leaders, and no offense to any of them, their leaders aren't what we had in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, they've been, as they say, they've been a little washed down a little bit, and I understand that. I can say that. But we hope and trust that things will be good. It's probably good. At first I was saying, wow, it's interesting we don't have that single figure. But it's probably best that we don't, because when you knock one down, you still got 3 or 4 that you're going to have to contend with. For the first time in 49 years, the President of the United States decided to say, we're not going to celebrate African American History Month. And told the Pentagon, not the Pentagon, but the Department of I guess it's the Pentagon, that there will be no celebration of this. Then you bring in a pastor who is in agreement with slavery to give a service. What in the world is going on during this time when we should be celebrating?
Not only that, but even Trump's own press secretary contradicted his statement, saying he had nothing to do with the post about the Obamas and their face being on gorillas. Again, it has been backlash and backlash and backlash. Racist remarks made. Him saying that the only black governor in the United States of America isn't qualified to eat at the same table as him at the White House at a long-standing bipartisan dinner that is hosted by the National Governors Association, not the Democratic Governors Association or the Republican Governors Association, but the national, that they come together and work together. When the chair of that committee, who's a Republican from Oklahoma, I believe, said no, Wes is deserving and should be invited, Trump attacked that governor. When Tim Scott,
I was going to go there. Some good lady
has mentioned about how racist the White House has been, and he said that the tweet with the Obamas was the most racist.
Yeah, which means other things he's seen. Yeah.
Which I just want to hone in on that part. He said the most.
Yeah.
Which means he even knows he has a lot of racist stuff coming out of this White House. And now they were strategically trying to make sure he could not run for re-election.
I heard.
Trump had a Black History event, a very small one. And I guess they just found a bunch of Black Republicans that they could bring to DC real quick to try to prove that he was not racist. It's sad to see that, quote unquote, the most powerful man in America,
in the world,
has used the power of his office to attack Black people constantly. And for the Black people who sit there and say, oh, well, why are Black people talking about ICE? That's not our fight. You really think this has anything to do with the immigrants? It has everything to do with lining up anyone who's dark skinned, get out of my country. Even though we ain't want to be here in the first place. Y'all barred us over here. And then y'all started calling us lazy and welfare queens once we stopped working for free and demanding that you put money back in our community after you made sure we had no opportunity over here.
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
How are you going to be able to grow if you're supposed to get sunlight and for 400 years you're under the shadow of the whip?
Yeah. Well, the pastor said that this was a very good relationship. But I got a question. Why didn't he trade? If it was such a great relationship, then let's trade and see if that was a great relationship. But I guess we were able to do in this little part of the segment a true reflection of how racist America is today. I mean, Trump opened the door for everything that is racist to say, you know what, we got a place now. We're going to express it. We let that Negro become president. And then behind him, you know, we gave an answer, which was Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump had too many people around him who can keep him safeguarded. So Biden got in and started tearing down some monuments. And now Trump is back and it's all off. Let's just make it all happen. He don't have to run again. You know, it's really sad. And it's showing during this month that we consider to be African American month.
Yeah.
Sad. It's sad. Well, Coby, I say what I said in my sermon last Sunday. I don't care if he do away with Black History Month, the celebration of Black History Month, because I celebrate being Black every day.
I know that's right.
Every day.
I know that's
I'm proud to be Black. I'm proud to be African American. And I'm proud of the struggle that my people went through to be able to get me to the place where I am today. Now, I'm not saying that I'm happy that they went through what they went through, but it does speak to the tenacity and to the toughness and to the strength of my people, that we were able to survive something much stronger than any other ethnic group ever survived, and we came out on top. So we say hats off to all of you African American people who watch us every week. And look, we're like baby kids. We don't die, we just multiply. And the strength of us is not based in numbers. It's really based in the quality of the people that we have. So that's a good thing. This week, just so we can, in my segment, I want to make sure that I did report there are no shootings this week. Not even a dog got shot this week. So isn't that a blessing?
It's been a good week.
It's been a good week. Hats off to the chief. hats off to the mayor's office, to the city council. We're coming together. There are other issues that we're going to be dealing with later on in the year, but for right now, the city is becoming violent free. It's not violent free, but with the shootings, we're doing much better, and we are very grateful for that. But there was something interesting happened with the foot patrol. Now they were trying to fight that at one point. We don't want nobody on the street because it's going too dangerous, whatever. But the foot patrol did arrest a gentleman who had about 122 bags of heroin. You know anything about that?
Yeah, a 27-year-old man was arrested on the 2300 block of Jessup Street. The police recovered 122 bags containing about 3.66 grams of heroin. He is charged with possession of a controlled substance, tier 2, resisting arrest, and he now faces arraignment. But the cops had originally came up to him, noticed something suspicious, talked to him, and then he fled. And after a brief foot pursuit, they were able to apprehend him and get the drugs. So that's 122 bags, 3.66 grams of drugs that will not be going into our community.
Excellent. And hats off to the police for that. And I know people are saying, well, that could have been whatever. I think if you're going to be productive, we need to preserve and protect those individuals who are doing the right thing. But those who are doing the wrong thing, we need to let them be handled appropriately. Mm-hmm. Coby, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go to the Coby Corner. And there's a whole lot more I want to talk about because, Texas is a big hot item. And even Channel CBS even had some issues going on. So don't go nowhere. We got some more good stuff that we want to talk to you about. We'll be right back.
Place where we go to feel secure, safe, and loved. But for thousands of youth living on the streets, there's no such thing as home. Out here, it's a predatory world that can destroy lives forever. At Covenant House, we give at-risk youth a place to go where they feel safe, supported, and people care about their future. A place to call home. To help or get help, go to safeplacetosleep.org.
And we're back. Coby, what's going on with the Coby Corner? I hope you got something exciting because we've not had a lot of excitement today.
Well, see, it's exciting to me.
Oh, okay.
This upcoming election this year, we have the midterm elections. Uh-huh. All 41 seats in the General Assembly will be up this year.
All 41?
All 41 on the House side
okay.
will be up this year, and half of the Senate will be up. And we already have some primaries going on in the Senate in Sarah McBride's old Senate district, SD1. You have Dan Cruz, who won the special election, who will be facing Adriana Bohm in a primary. Adriana is a former school board member for Red Clay, a 2-term school board member. She served 10 years there. She has been on the board of the ACLU and numerous other community organizations. Dan is the COO of Delaware United Way, or the United Way of Delaware. And then in SD5, you have former healthcare executive Ray Siegfried, who won that special election when Kyle Evans-Gay had to vacate that seat to become the lieutenant governor. He is a former state rep as well, too. He won in 2018 and then lost his seat in 2020 to Representative Larry Lamper, who has been there ever since. Ray has one opponent. Her name is Shay Frisbee. She's a community organizer. Also comes from the healthcare and community arena as well, too. That is going to be the two main races in the state Senate. On the House side, you have a plethora of races that are going on. As of right now, you have a primary in Representative District 1, which is my home district. That's Representative Namdi Kocha versus Councilwoman Shanae Darby. It's a rematch of 2022 that was decided by 90 votes.
How's that going? Because that's one of the interests I'm interested in.
It is going to be very close. The district was, during redistricting, they diluted the black vote there. So it should be very interesting to see how this vote goes. RD2, you have Stephanie Bolden, the current incumbent in that seat, longest serving African American woman in the state, is being challenged by James Taylor again. This is his third time.
I'm going to say, what is he going? I guess 3 years a charm or something, maybe.
This is his third time running against her. In the other city district, you have Frank Cook in RD 16. Frank is a former retired county cop, 30 years there, has been a state rep since 2018. He replaced J.J. Johnson. He is being challenged by Pamela Salam, a Southbridge resident. And then in RD 12, you have Krista Griffith, who's the incumbent. She's been there since 2018 as well, too. She flipped the seat from Republican to Democrat. She's a former DAG, which is a Deputy Attorney General under the Beau Biden administration. She's an attorney, of course, because she's a DAG. She is being challenged by Robert Bonson, who's a healthcare professional. I believe he's a doctor, who lives out in that area. So pretty much all the city representative seats, except for one, has a primary that will be going on.
And which one is that?
Representative District 3, Josue Ortega's seat. Okay. And so all the other city seats that are up this year are being challenged by at least one opponent as of right now. On the state level, there is a primary for U.S. Senate. Incumbent Senator Chris Coons is running for re-election. He's our senior senator. He has been in the Senate since 2010, former county council executive, county council president and county executive. And he's running for another term. He's scheduled to become the foreign relations chair if he wins this, with retirements of Jean Shaheen and some other individuals.
And there should be no problem. Does he have a opponent?
He does have an opponent. But I believe he has two that are at least trying to get on the ballot. Once they are ballot qualified, I'll put that out there. But as of right now, he's the only one. For U.S. Congress, on the Democratic Party side of things, incumbent Sarah McBride is running for re-election. She has no primary as of right now. And as of right now, there's rumors that a state senator, Eric Buxton, who's the son of the former Governor Buxton, may potentially run for Congress, but he has not made a decision yet. But he is trying to get some traction behind that on the Republican side. For our other statewide, Attorney General, as of right now, Kathy Jennings is the only individual running. There was rumor that the ACLU's legal director was potentially going to run. I don't know if he still is or not. And then Colleen Davis, our state treasurer, is retiring after flipping the seat from Republican to Democrat in 2018. So there are two gentlemen who are running on the Democratic side as of right now. No one on the Republican side. Ted Lawson, who is a former Marine and hedge fund manager, and then Mike Smith, who's an economist by trade. He's a former candidate for Representative District 21 last year, and he lost in a primary to Frank Burns. And then Lydia York is running for re-election for auditor. So we have some very important elections coming up. March 3rd is the filing deadline for school board candidates. We have school board elections in May. We have local municipal races all up and down this state over the next 4 months. So if you live in a municipality, go to your local website and see if you have an election going on. It's too many to name off the top of my head. But I just wanted to bring that information out to the community before I circle up and talk about what we're doing here.
Okay. Well, let me just say this to you. I watched you. You were able, and some people say sometimes Coby be into his computer trying to get all that facts together. But you went from your head, from all that stuff. I'm sitting there saying to myself, you really are a nerd. I'm going to give you your nerd certificate. You are a political nerd, because that was a whole lot to be able to identify and talk about it, and you ain't looked down one time.
Yeah.
Very good.
I mean, it's so important, and I love what I do with the Urban League and making sure that we're engaging with people and As you know, we've partnered with the church here in the past to do debate series where in the early conversations of seeing if we still want to do this. I still want to do it. But, seeing, if the community still wants to have debate settings or do they want to go back to virtual? Because we did virtual during the pandemic. So we're just trying to engage how we can get the most participation. But I think in person is always better.
Yeah.
Live questions are the best. But, seeing if we can bring these candidates out to the community as well too, and host these forums is going to be something I'm going to be working on. But then also just these are the people who make a decision. Whether you're my representative, my senator or not, y'all all still vote on the same stuff, right? So trying to build relationships with everyone and see where everyone shakes out is what I love following. And again, I grew up watching C-SPAN regularly and everything. So, but yeah, no, I mean, this midterm election is important, and why we know about the national. We've talked about the national. We have elections right here, and I want everyone to be informed and be ready to go vote.
Excellent.
But now we're going to talk about what we're doing on city council.
Okay.
Well, at least what I'm doing. So earlier this week, we had a council meeting, February 19th, in which we allowed for the mayor, we approved a resolution for the mayor to make some adjustments to the FY21 Home-ARP funds, as well as some authorizing a sale of some apartments in which we receive $1.1 million back now that all their tax incentives have expired. Between those two projects, it creates opportunity for more funding for homelessness services here in the city of Wilmington, and homeless prevention as well too. Which I do want to say thank you to the mayor for finding these dollars, especially Bob Weir in real estate and housing. And it goes perfectly with legislation that I am currently drafting and will be introducing in the beginning of March.
But can I just jump in there? And Bob Weir is a very good guy. But I want to say to Javier too, because that guy is smart. He's brilliant. I mean, I know he's out, he and his wife are just having a baby.
Yes.
But he is brilliant, man. I mean, and while we want to give hats off to people who works in certain positions, he is brilliant. I'm gonna say another person is brilliant too, and that's Cade. I mean, I think I call him the governor. The mayor has around him.
He was that before.
Yeah, he has around him some very talented individuals who will probably never get the recognition they deserve, but they're making our city better.
Yeah.
People didn't think it was going to happen.
And I'll come back to that point because I do want to add something there. But the funds, Bob Weir, who has extensive history and knowledge of real estate here in the city of Wilmington, which I think is key and critical, he has a real passion for what he does. And I think that was one of the best keeps from the Pizicki administration. It's one of the only things that Pizicki got right by bringing him in. But no, I will agree with you, both Javier, who, yes, did just have a new baby, but Saran. And I know I make jokes about Game of Thrones with him all the time, but Saran, he is someone who is not from the city of Wilmington, not from Delaware, period. But he has a wealth of knowledge, but he has also ingrained himself into the community.
Oh, yeah.
And uses and blends the two together when he does his work. And I think that is something that is extremely rare when you think of like chief of staffs and people like that. So again, while I may not always agree with him,
that's all right.
In the mayor's side, I will say I really do respect him.
Yeah.
And I know that we can have that discourse and still respect one another.
And that's what I love about him so very much. His two children, I do like to brag about this, are students of our academy here at East Zion. But let me just say this to you when you said it, and that's the key. We have not always agreed. Me and Saran have not. He was a student at Dell State when I was there, and yeah, he got on my nerves sometimes. But the reality of the matter is this. The boy is brilliant. He's smart. He's smart. And even when he was in the governor's office in the role as the finance person,
OMB.
Yeah, OMB. He did some brilliant moves and people didn't pay attention to it. Now he's really pulling people together. I'm watching some things that I can't talk about now, but I'm watching some things that he's doing that's really not going against the workers in the city. It's not going against the community. He's pulling it together to give a better understanding. And I think that's what was missing. Well, everything was missing out of Pazicki's. I was surprised. I said his name just then, but everything was missing out of that group. And even though he had talented people like who the brother just named for housing,
Bob Ware.
from Bob Ware, he brought in some great talent, but he brought in the chief.
Yeah.
But he just overshadowed it because he's Donald Trump. He knows everything. Only I alone can solve it. And I didn't even take up your time.
So again, I think, the legislation I'm working on will create a rental assistance program for city residents using some dollars that we have already allocated to really help the residents who are struggling right now. We've seen a huge increase in the price of rentals. So again, this is a 3-month rental assistance program. It will be able to help you pay up to 3 months a year. And then the next bill I'm working on partners that, right? So we want people to be in affordable places. We want people to be safe and healthy. And you have to have safe, healthy, affordable housing, right? And the other part goes, you have a lot of mom and pop landlords. And I know they get beat up a lot. And sometimes you have some of the most caring people, but they just don't have the capital to fix up their property, right?
Absolutely.
Especially if it's going to cost $4,000 or $5,000 out of pocket to get a new water heater, or fix the roof is like $10,000, right? And they've only been charging $750 a month. They're making that money just enough to pay their mortgage, if they got a good mortgage. Creating a fund for small mom and pop property owners who rent at an affordable rate.
I like that.
To be able to access some capital without putting a lien on their property. They just have to agree to keep it at an affordable rate. And we're working on the AMI, what percentage we want to keep it at. But keep it at an affordable rate for 10 years, for 15 years. All of it is coming together slowly, but it's listening to the owners and trying to take that feedback back to how can we really help them, right? If we can help you fix up your house, is there a way it's not coming from your pocket? Can you keep it at affordable for the residents who are in there? And this is not for, okay, I had a resident who came in and they tore up my house. No, this is for quality of life issues, addressing mold, addressing, holes in the roof, lead and stuff like that, and partnering with other programs we have. And again, this is something that Bob Weir has talked about. This is something me and him have talked about quite often. So again, hopefully moving that forward in a good way. The legislation, that one is aimed to be ready at the end of March to be introduced. I believe it'll be the March 19th meeting.
Yeah, and let me just try to help you a little bit, just in case any of our city council persons are listening and watching us, which they are, because whenever we say something they don't like, they give me a call or whatever else. That I want to hope, and I'm making an appeal to you. I'm looking at my camera on purpose, and some of you know exactly who I'm talking to. That I know you often say, that the Cobys of the world, they just always like to take away from the budget, but don't know how to find ways to add to it. God has put you in that position to help add to it. But a program like this, it's helping our homeless our unhoused population too. We have parents, we have our fathers, mothers, or whatever, who are renting their houses out, mom and pop shops, who are renting their houses out, and they are already meeting some low income standards. But we don't want people to have to live with tore down roofs, with lead. If we can find a way to help them, that helps our city. So let's not look at this legislation as, oh, here he goes again with trying to find ways to take money from the city. I want to say, no, some things we have to do. And then we got people on this council like yourself and others who know how to go find the money. Instead of us going to so many dinners, we could just throw it in the pot.
Mm-hmm. That part. But again, this is about listening to the needs of the residents.
Yeah.
And honestly, housing and affordability are the two biggest things.
Yeah.
We need people to live here to be able to bring in some revenue, since that's one of the only revenue forms we have here in the city of Wilmington. Hopefully the state passes my cigarette tax bill.
That's going to be interesting.
They bring in $82.4 million from their cigarette tax, and I believe it's $2.10 per pack of 20 cigarettes.
Wow.
Throughout the state.
Stop smoking.
That's just the tax on it. But I didn't even know until I was talking to someone about my bill. They were like, well, you could probably raise it another $7 and it would still be cheaper than New Jersey.
Yeah,
I said, well, how?
I heard they were really.
How expensive is Jersey? I don't smoke. So
right.
I didn't.
I used to. Go ahead.
I knew about the cigarette tax as a revenue stream. But then when they said look at other states, I started looking at other states. I said, oh, Delaware could raise this.
Yeah. Well, I don't want. Well, yes, because I don't want people smoking and end up with cancer and things of that nature. But I remember there was a older lady I come from the projects, and she lived on the 8th floor, and I was her store runner. And she used to say, I need a pack of Pall Malls. I don't know if they even sell that anymore. And it was 55 cents. I look forward to that 45 cents. Because he said you keep the change. So I looked forward. Miss Margaret, do you need any cigarettes today? Do you need a cigarette? She says, no, baby, or yes. And here's the $1 and go get me a pack. Now it's almost, that one pack of cigarettes is now almost $20.
Whew. That's
what
insane.
is gone? I don't know. And people still smoking. So.
And people still smoking, and especially the chain smokers.
Yeah.
I know some people who work in healthcare who they smoke throughout the day. And I'm like, well, you know, you're dealing with the patients who are doing exactly what you're doing 10 years ago. So again, you know, we just got to do better as a community.
Yeah, we will. But I really appreciate your legislations, and I know you had that going through the thing. So we need to make some phone calls to try to help that get through.
Yes.
Maybe we can make some real money, then we can do some real building. Before you go, Coby, I do want to ask you a little bit about this. The new acting director for the Urban League. Have they announced that yet?
They have not announced it public, but he has signed his contract. Yes.
So is that something we could talk about, or would you get in trouble when you go to work tomorrow?
We could talk about it on the next show. It should be all public there.
Because I like this person, and I want to just give a congratulations, but I'm always careful not to get you in trouble, because if both of us in trouble, we have to creak, and I don't want that to happen. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Join us live for our weekly worship. On Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
One more time before you wake up in the wild. In your eyes, I see a flower slowly dying.
Together with the Nature Conservancy, you have the power to make a difference. For unspoiled nature, for beautiful wildlife, and for people everywhere. Together, we can find a way to ensure that all life on Earth can thrive.
Oh, in the wild, you're gonna make it. The moonlight is here to take you.
Our natural world needs us now, Every day, we lose more lands, waters, and the wild species that depend on them. To learn more, visit nature.org today.
And we're back. Coby, there's several things I want to talk about. You know, it's all going to deal with politics. This is the politic corner, the time when we do our politics and more. But first, I want to start. Texas, CBS. What in the world? Do you think, first, I'm going to be specific because we can get to talking. Do you think the Democrats have a chance to flip that state?
I do.
Wow.
And it depends who wins the Republican primary.
Now Trump has a specific person who is not liked by the general Texans.
Yes.
But then there's another one who's running that is kind of more acceptable, but not for Trump.
Correct.
Is that how they go?
And then there's a third, but he's just a black Trump.
Oh, okay.
So Trump can't support him because he's black.
Okay.
He's on his anti-black push right now. But I will say this. So Trump has been begged by the Republican Senate leadership to endorse John Cornyn because he's the best chance for them to hold that seat in a general election. The two-time indicted Attorney General, almost impeached Attorney General, who was the Family Matters candidate who cheated on his wife and had to get a divorce. And his wife's telling everything now, is who Trump truly wants in the seat. And then you have Wesley Hunt, who is still in shock and awe that Trump hasn't come out and give his unequivocal and utmost endorsement to, after he was one of the lead blacks for Trump. That handed him this election to hear him say it. So again, these three men are running. If Ken Paxton, who is leading in almost every poll, if he wins that primary, Democrats have a real chance of flipping Texas to a Democratic seat.
But just as you shared with the Republican side, that we also can talk about that on the Democratic side, because if a certain person wins on the Democratic side, I'm not going to say who yet, then it can still not flip.
Yes.
But there's two strong candidates that's running. Both are, the one is African American, the other one is not.
Correct.
All right, so let's hear a little bit about them.
Yes, so Jasmine Crockett has risen to fame from her time as a state rep. And the congresswoman she replaced pretty much tapped her to replace her to run for that seat. And she has been a voice who has not only held the Trump administration accountable, but people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, the bad built beach blonde Barbie comment was Jasmine Crockett.
And she flew,
flew right off. It was, I don't know how I know the words and I still stumble on it. She did it so smoothly. But she is running for U.S. Senate. And a lot of people are doubting her chances of running and winning. And then you have James Tolaroso, who is a white representative from the 50th district who he's been elected since 2018, but he pretty much rose to fame when the Texas Democrats left the state, went to Minnesota and other places to break the quorum there, and to the point where Ken Paxton had to send the police out to go get them to come back to try to stop the redistricting that was going on down there. Jasmine Crockett's district was redistricted so that she wouldn't live in it. She was moved into another district, her 30th congressional district. Her pastor is actually running for that seat. So again, you have two strong candidates, two strong fundraisers. Again, some people think it will be harder for a black woman to flip that seat because they're saying she wouldn't be able to build a broad enough coalition outside of the black vote to win that seat.
And that's the only reason why they're saying that. But if enough people can stomach, Texas is supposed to be that Beltway group who love the Lord dearly, but yet they put up with so much ungodly behaviors. But when it comes down to black folks, making sure they don't get in. And what happened with CBS? I mean, they didn't want that guy. I think they didn't want him to interview Tim, right?
Correct.
And they, I guess Colbert, I guess that's his name. The
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, he's the CBS person. He went after them. He basically did not bite his tongue, and I was really shocked. He even told CBS, "This is crap. What y'all are saying, y'all. I've never been challenged in this area," which made it even more appealing for Tim to win.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm just sitting back saying this may happen.
I mean, it's definitely interesting, and I love Stephen Colbert, so I'm glad he actually called them out on this.
Yeah.
But this is what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing it happening in Texas because they're scared and so much outside money is coming into Texas. But like I've said earlier, or on this show before, the more money that they have to put into these seats that should be solidly red,
Right.
the less money that they can put into a place like North Carolina, Maine, Ohio, Alaska. Those are going to be our 4 main places. So if you're seeing Elon Musk have to shell out millions and millions of dollars to Texas, to Nebraska, to places like that, that looks really good for us. That gives us a chance to Iowa.
Because that wasn't in our equation.
Correct.
So, but it would be a nice take.
And I will say that the Republican Party, they are nervous. They are trying their best to hold on to these seats. But I think at the end of the day, people are starting to wake up. There was an interview with someone who has voted for Trump 3 times for president, and only votes for people who have Trump's endorsement. Stop voting for his local races because they weren't endorsed by Trump. Who is feeling the impacts of these changes to healthcare, to SNAP benefits, to, all this stuff. And they're like, well, why is Trump coming after me?
Yeah.
Because in your mind, you thought that the only people in America who were welfare leeches, as they like to call them, were the dark-skinned people. But you on the same program as someone from the east side, from the north side of Wilmington. Yeah. It's all the same. And what Reverend Jackson say? I am somebody. So we should treat everyone the same.
That's right.
So yeah, it's interesting. We'll see if there be any backlash to Stephen Colbert for how he's going after them.
He can care less, obviously, because he is really going at them. I want to stay on this black train and go back to something we talked about earlier, and that's Tim Scott. Yeah. He is really shocked that Donald is doing this to him.
Yes. He is the chair of the Senate campaign committee. He's supposed to be raising dollars to help these Senate candidates, and Trump and his allies are saying, don't give any money to them. Don't give any money to his personal campaign either, because how dare him call the White House racist? He needs to bend the knee and kiss the ring if he wants forgiveness. And Tim Scott is saying, I've been a loyal black man.
Yeah.
House, never mind, I won't say that on TV.
Negro.
But if y'all ever watched Django, he was the Samuel L. Jackson character for Donald Trump. And he cannot believe that they're in this situation. How? Trump, I've been supportive of you, he says. And now you come after me. It didn't stop when he went after anyone else. You were cool with that. Yeah. You think he wouldn't turn on you? Yeah. Especially you as a lone minority in the Senate on the Republican side? Yeah. He could care less about you.
And he's showing it.
Yes.
He's showing it. When a person shows you who they are, believe him. Mm-hmm. And he should have believed him when he went against all those other people who were very loyal and supportive. And ever since you sit down on the show, how these black folks get up and say, I can't believe it. I'm starting to see it more and more now.
They've been so shocked these last few months.
I don't know why you can't believe it, because it is what it is. Let's talk a little bit about the midterm. So now we felt very comfortable. Are you still very comfortable with the House?
Yes.
That it's gonna flip and by how large of a margin do you think? Let's get some predictions going.
So I still think it's going to be between the 20 to 25 seat range flipping. So that would give about a 15 seat margin difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. And I think what's going to come into play is not only the areas that were redistricted by the Democrats, the Californias, the Virginias, and areas like that, but I truly believe you're going to see some unintended consequences. Some of these districts that they try to make more Republican.
Right. That's what I want to see. I'm looking for that.
I don't know if they put the right Republican voters in there.
Yeah.
So I can see a few of those seats also either staying blue or flipping from red to blue. I see a seat being gained in Utah, which every few years it's about that cycle. One being gained out there. And now Colorado has entered the chat about doing redistricting, and they are talking about potentially doing a 7-1 map, 7 Democrats to 1 Republican, or doing a 8 Democrat, 0 Republican map, which they can do.
Right.
But the current breakdown is 4-3. So again, that's flipping potentially 2 or 3 seats. So we'll see. We still have a few more months. Texas is the first primary in the nation, and then after that, everything else will flow.
Yeah, and what everybody need to remember, Donald Trump started this.
Mm-hmm.
He started it. I hope we finish it and finish it well.
Yes,
because that's important. Now let's talk a little bit about the Senate. Are you there yet? Or are you still saying I'm not sure? On your feeling that it will flip.
I think it will flip by 1 seat margin. It will be very close. But I believe that they have their pathway forward and that those candidates will be able to win in those 4 seats that I talked about earlier.
Really? What will happen to Donald Trump if they get both the House and the Senate?
He will be impeached by the House. I don't think they get to the 60 vote threshold in the Senate to impeach him.
Okay. So what does it mean? Because I can hear some of our viewers asking that question. When a president's impeached, okay, that's indicted. Is there anything else comes out of that?
No.
So
not unless once you're impeached, then you have to be found guilty of the charges by the Senate.
I understand that.
And then that's when you're removed from office and other criminal charges can come.
And it's a constitutional thing, so we need 60 votes to even change that rule.
Yes.
Well, you need 60.
Well, for the filibuster to be broken, yes.
All right. Now, there were some people. What about our guy in Pennsylvania? I know we're out of time, but what about our guy in Pennsylvania? Is he still running? I call him Joe Manchin. Yeah,
he's up in 2030.
Oh, so he got a little bit of time.
So he has a little more time left. Yeah.
You think he'll change his senses and become a little bit more practical? Or do you think that he really feels that he's secure?
I think he thinks he's secure.
Okay, he's going to get a rude awakening.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I don't know where ICE is right these days. Where's ICE at? I'm trying to get all my questions in.
They are starting to move from Minnesota. They are coming towards this region. Activity has picked up not only in Delaware, but Pennsylvania and in Maryland area.
Okay. Well, we're going to see how it all turns out. Listen, we thank you all so very much. For those of you who are asking whether or not there's any response from the governor's office, I come to report that there still has not been any response. I will continue to reach out to them to ask some of the questions that we need to have answered as it relates to the support and the assistance that's supposed to be coming into the Wilmington area, given that the Wilmington area was what really supported this governor in his race. All right, Coby, is there anything else that you have on your corner today?
That's all I have.
That's all you have. Happy and congratulations to all of you African-American people who continue to make things happen and to make your light shine. Until the next time, God bless.
Take care, y'all.
You've been watching The Sword with host Dr. C.T. Curry and co-host Coby Owens. Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes.
Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya, and anything you can do about it. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a real good conversation. I'm excited. Come on! Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Why don't you call somebody real quickly? Tell them Coffee with Curry is on. And let's get after it.